All right, let's rock and roll.
We're live.
Good morning, good afternoon, power hitters, Solar Warrior Tribe, everyone new to Power. If you are new to Power, put it in the chat. Let us know where you're calling from. If you're a setter, sales pro, or closer, we'd love to hear from you. Today is March 25th, 2025, and we have an awesome training. I'm here with my co-host, Tom Cotter. Tom, happy Tuesday, Grand Rising.
Happy Tuesday, Jonathan, and all of our panelists here. Welcome, everybody, and setters, sales pros, and closers from all over the country, all over the world. Glad you're here.
Absolutely. Like we do every Tuesday, 10 Pacific, everybody is welcome to join this call. We often start off with success stories. Success leaves clues, right? So if you have a success story, raise your hand right now, type it in the chat. We'd like to hear any success. Could be around health, mind, body, mindfulness, breath work, eating, your family. It could be about closing a deal, getting an ambassador. Many of you are recruiting setters right now. It's free. Let us know a couple clues about your success. So let's go ahead and pause here for a minute. And I'd love it if someone wants to come off of mute, raise their hand, share a success story. I know there's a ton going on right now. So do not be shy and share some success stories. Ron, thank you. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll lead it off. Hey, you're right. So much stuff going on. It's amazing the number of people coming back, new people who are also recruiting other people. But I'm super excited to say that I had a former boss who I won't name, especially because this is recorded, at our old company, who came on board and is on the team. So super excited about getting him involved with everything as he can. So just there you
Awesome.
go.
Well done, Ron. The team is growing quickly. Nice work there. And let's go ahead and see what success story Cynthia has. Maybe it's because she closed my 483rd sale for me, or maybe it's all her other success. I don't know.
Hey guys, yeah, no, I just wanted to share the job we had, Jonathan, with Sam. And that one, sometimes it's not a one call close. That one took an insane amount of follow-up, probably 12 unanswered texts just saying, hey, how are you doing? What do you think? Is it time to move forward? Are you ready now? Are you ready now? And it took an insane amount of patience in answering his questions. And finally, it came down to that. Over 6 quotes, he chose us just because we were the most consistent with following up. So yeah, stay on it, guys. Don't be shy to follow up. If they're not saying no, stop bothering me, then just keep on it.
Great reminder, Cynthia. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think I handed off a lead to her guys in December, maybe, if not before that. And I was trying to get in touch with him for a while and handed it off to her, and she's done months of follow up. And we beat out, I think, 5 other proposals. And I think we did a Good Leap TPO. Friendly reminder, guys, in 5-6 days, Good Leap requires domestic. So if you have any Good Leap TPO proposals out there, any unsold leads, let them know, hey, prices could change in April. Equipment changes. Let's get you locked in. March Madness promo, $500. We are our own business owners. Jordan Shaw, good to see you. What's going on?
I'm driving, but I wanted to jump on and say hello. I had a really good win, and I got caught the tail end of what Cynthia was talking about. And follow-up and consistency is 100% required. I sold the deal over the weekend. It was a 13 kW system, and it was exactly that. I had set up a go high level drip campaign with Self Spencer, and I had just like taken all my templates and it just kind of like built it out of bomb, and then I transposed the code over to go high level. And I started going down my pipeline list of people that just hadn't closed. And I said, all right, you know what? They're getting this one. They're getting this one. Like I just started adding them in. And I have like 2 unique type of drips for like 6 unique emails that go out. One that's more like an active sales follow-up where they're going to get an email from me every 2 days. So that way I'm top of mind, either going into the meeting or right after we've met. And then the other one is more like a passive sales drip, which is exactly the same emails, but they're 1 week apart. So they go for a group of 6 weeks. And so that's exactly what I did with this guy. And I knew that I was top of mind because he connected with me on Facebook. He was tagging me on posts. He really wanted to get his wife off the fence. And so he comes back Wednesday and says, "Hey, I want to go ahead and I want to try this again. Let's go through." And he had already been through my entire sale, like follow-up cycle. And Friday, and I posted this on Pioneers. I got him the numbers. I told him, "Hey, let's do this." Floated him a trip incentive. Saturday, he gets an alert that Powur's out at his house. His family just happened to be out of the house at the time. He said, "No, hell no, we're not doing this." Saturday night, he's signed in docs, got him approved for a SunGage loan. Just boom, just drop it. So if you're not dripping on your clients or your prospects, go back through. Like, this summer's here. Like, we're urge. We 100% have to do that. So I'm throwing everybody back through that sales pipeline. I did one for Nick. He went in house. The guy had already gotten 2 or 3 emails from me by the time he went in. Sit and sign for Nick. So I'm going to say a win for him too. So that's what we're doing now. It's just top of mind. Have to be top of mind.
Let's go. Listening to the nuggets from one of the top 7-figure earners, top sales installers for the last year or two, guys. Thank you, Jordan, and go check out his post on Powur Pioneers for this awesome deal he just sold. Let's do one more share. Type any more wins in the chat. And Anthony, what would you like to share today?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are you? Thanks for having me on. I want to share some commercial side, guys. I've got 5 roofers scheduled for Monday on the setter program, walking them through it. Hopefully we can retain them. If I get them to put them on, that's over 100 people. So hopefully, for the grace of gods, that will be a big win. So that's my win, guys. Don't forget about the commercial side. Don't forget about building that team. Get out there, get them onto the Energize app. Imperative. Use the tools that we're given. Melissa Dawson, awesome with these tools. It's easy to share. We've got it all marketing squared away. I'm just printing it out. It is incredible, the amount. They need the money just like everybody else. So hit those commercial, guys.
Wow. 5 roofers, 100 setters possibly joining. Goodness gracious. Congrats to you. Good luck. Prayers, blessings your way. You got this. You got the right leadership and team. Go get them. Let's go. Let's do one more. Jarrett snuck in there and he's got his suit jacket on. So go for it, Jarrett.
Well, I haven't been on a call for a while, so it's good to be back and see everybody here and hear everybody's voices. But I just want to take a moment. I'm super excited about 4.0. I just brought on an HVAC company. We're doing all kinds of joint venture marketing that's going to be going out, and they've already got me a couple of clients to get in front of and be able to make them energy efficient. On top of that, I've got some of my agents that I've been working with in quite some time. Now we're setting up team Zoom presentations. So he's going out and he's helping me bring in other real estate agents, other brokers, and we're doing Zoom events. So got one going on. I got a new agent coming on and a broker at 5, and then I've got 2 set up for Friday for presentation. So all I got to say is just put your head down, run hard, and go help everybody we can. Thank you for being back.
Wow. You guys feel that? That momentum right now leading us in the summertime, baby? Jesus. It's going to be epic. You better be locked in and loaded to Powur 4.0, guys. All right. Appreciate all the shares. Type any more in the chat. Let's all support each other. And before a few quick updates in today's training, Tom has a share. Quote of the day.
Thanks, Jonathan. Just to make sure you're sharing audio as a reminder. We all want success, right? That's why we're here. We all want fulfillment. But what if the key isn't just chasing more? What if it's not more leads, more proposals, more sales, more installs, more team members, but also in how we take care of ourselves along the way. So today we're going to be exploring with a really great panel how peak performance in setting and selling and business begins with peak performance in our lives. And that means focusing not just on strategies and skills, but on mindset and habits and health routines that actually fuel us. And before we jump into that in a few minutes, I want to share a short clip of challenges. So this challenges how we think about happiness and success. Arthur Brooks, who is a professor from Harvard, PhD, social scientist, best-selling author, columnist, he says that it's not just about pushing harder or working more. It's also about building a foundation that sustains us. So let's take a look at what he has to say in this video.
What will happen is when you neglect your spiritual life, your happiness will fall. And when you neglect your physical life, your unhappiness will rise. Those are two different things processed in different parts of the limbic system of your brain. And you need to manage both the unhappiness and happiness in your life through the way that you gear your habits. And so the areas of faith, family life, friendship, and work that serves other people and is really productive. Those are the happiness side. On the unhappiness side, you need to manage that largely through taking care of your health. So better health through health and fitness and what you're eating and how much you're moving, et cetera. That's the best way to manage your unhappiness, your negative affect. The worst way to do it is workaholism and alcoholism and drug addiction and all the other things that people do to try to feel a little less unhappy.
So I wanted to lead today with this perspective to remind us that success isn't just about what we achieve. It's about how we take care of ourselves along the way. What Arthur says, we increase our happiness through faith, family, friendships, meaningful work, and we manage our unhappiness, not with distractions, but by taking care of our health, our sleep, our nutrition, our movement, our mindset. So in a few minutes here, as our panel leaders begin to share, I want you to think about this. In your own life, what habits are fueling your success, and where can you start making just small shifts to perform even at a higher level, not just in business, but in life? And we'll jump into that in a few minutes. But Jonathan, back to you.
Wow, well said. That is an awesome reminder. Thank you, Tom. All right, a few quick updates for us before we jump in, guys. There are still Sonova project change meetings going on if you need help with that. And there's so many trainings in Powur Calendar, the Sales Success Lounge, the Setter Surge twice a day for us new setters that we're bringing in right now, the market meetings, and a ton more. This Friday, though, I want to ask a favor. There's a special training at 9 a.m. Pacific with Building with Bobby and Jonathan Budd. So if you're going to put a meeting or two on your calendar this week, make sure to register for that. It is in the newsletter that was sent out yesterday. Also important here, Tom put in our April 9th Powur 4.0 Masterclass. It's usually 3 to 4 hours starting at 9 Pacific. Intense training, CEO call, special announcements. So those are both extremely important. You already know SolarCon in Las Vegas is now free. April 15th through the 17th. Tony Robbins is giving a workshop there. Jake Hess is a big fan and supporter of Powur, and Solar Joe as well. So make sure to register, get your room booked, because it's free. Network Powur's going to show up in pretty big force there for that event. And we're working on a private suite room that we're going to be able to do our own Powur trainings in as well. And then end of September, some details are still to be determined. Looking forward to Powur World, Las Vegas. Social media shareable of the day. I want to make it a little bit health focused today. So here is an image, and we really just want to give a prompt. The prompt is, how do you show up as your best self in business and relationships? Drop one habit. People love to share what they're doing. And there is the prompt in the chat. There is the Google Drive to the social media shareable, and there is the image you could share. I will be sharing this on Facebook and LinkedIn as soon as I get 2 minutes. If you beat me to it, maybe I'll buy you a coffee. Last week, we did more social media shareables of the day as well that you can go ahead and reference in that Google Drive. Alrighty, so as we get set up today, we got a few people that we're gonna hear from and answer some slides, and you're really gonna get some nuggets. Likely you'll hear some things, tips, and tricks that we're doing, workout modalities, mindfulness, health that maybe you're not incorporating, maybe you used to, maybe you even haven't heard of FP or IF and all these different things we're going to talk about today. So health, energy, success, mindset, starting your mornings right, fueling your body, sleep, and movement. These are keys to success. And one of our panelists will eloquently describe why this is so important for success in business. So as I introduce our first guest speaker, I actually want to show you a 1-minute intro that him and I did. We just uploaded a podcast on YouTube. If you go to Giving Business Soul, or if you go to my YouTube, I'm just going to play a quick introduction for it as we introduce the first panelist.
Jonathan Brunasso, what has that really brought to your life, to your community, to your circle?
Yeah, that's a deep question. I remember, Frank, seeing you guys on a Mexico home build 7 years ago, and I had never done one. That's the ultimate goal. What more could you want with this driven life? If you work as hard as you can as what's in front of you, the next door will open or someone will tap you on the shoulder and take you to the next place. I said, hey, there's this thing that I think I could do. Power, solar, you know. I was scared. I felt the friction. I felt I didn't want to pull away from my comfortable W-2 job I knew my whole life. And he basically said, do you see yourself doing what you're doing in 5 years?
Welcome to the Giving Business Soul podcast. In this time of great change, we need a new blueprint for business, one rooted in soul. Here, we explore consciousness, metaphysics, human optimization, and Christ teachings with individuals and guests who embody this philosophy. Join us as we bridge business and soul. All right, welcome.
All right, that was a quick little introduction there. And one more intro, shamelessly.
Here we are
here.
at the first Giving Business Soul retreat in Josh Retreat, where we have gathered all the merchants to ground our vision into reality.
All right, guys. So welcome, Francisco Jara. This gentleman obviously has left a big impact in many of our lives, incorporates flow states, exercise, and he's part of the reason why Powur has partnered with Prosperity Homes, philanthropy, and everything he teaches. So Francisco, welcome to the panel. Glad you're here.
Thank you, Jonathan. Great to be here with you guys all. That's quite nice little podcast intro there and to the retreat. But yeah, great to be here. I'd love to share. I don't know exactly where you'd like to get started, but shoot away and I'm ready.
All right. Thank you, Frank. And today, guys, Tom Cotter and myself, and then my twin brother, Chris Brunasso as well. And I believe Tom is Rick Joseph as well on the panel.
Rick is here. He's not on the phone.
Happy belated birthday, Rick Joseph. Yesterday was his birthday. Wish him a happy birthday, guys. 37 never looked so good, Rick.
Turned a year younger. It's great to be Benjamin buttoning it, man.
That's your biological
all these things that Francisco is going to teach us today, we can age in reverse.
That's right. Well, I'll let Tom graciously made a few slides to get us going and answer questions, and everyone can interject. But Tom, why don't you lead us off on the first slide here?
Yeah, I think that I just wanted to start with kind of a foundational thing about mindset, because I think that a lot of the limits that we have in life and business revolve around the things that we think about ourselves, our business. So for you all on the panel, what role does mindfulness, stress management, and emotional intelligence, kind of pick your phrase there. What is that, how does that play into your business, your growth? And you can be like a politician. I can ask a question and you can answer whatever you want, right? but about mindfulness,
I think Frank should kick this
Okay.
off.
All right. Well, I'll lead us off here. Great question. What I would share with everyone here is that mindset is a function of consciousness. So the more conscientious you become, the more self-aware you become, the stronger your mindset is going to be. And ultimately, you know, I'm sure we've all gone to so many seminars and events and it's spoken about, but, you know, at Giving Business Soul, we have a very unique perspective as it relates to elevating mindset. And that has to do with emotions and having emotional intelligence. I believe that if you want to become a much more aware human being, you have to begin to pay attention to the emotional body. What triggers you? What irritates you? What pisses you off? What do you judge so like with a heavy charge? Because those are the clues that you need to follow that ultimately lead you to a more conscious you. It's kind of like a map, if you will. If you just continue to follow those things and understand, like, why does that irritate me? Why do I judge that so harshly? And when you begin to peel away those layers and understand maybe from what wounding it's coming from, what trauma, that's really where the zeitgeist is of the collective. I believe that it's actually our trauma, these unresolved emotional things that we have left in our past that don't allow us to elevate to our great potential. We all know we have great gifts to give the world, but we have to follow those things. So for me, I believe it's, again, mindset is a function of consciousness, and the way to become much more aware is that emotional intelligence and following that pathway home.
Well
Yeah,
said.
I think one of the things that, you know, because Frank, you're one of the people that I love listening to and learning from. I think that, you know, the last 5 years that I've been with Powur, I've learned a lot about business, about myself, and I think that one of the things I picked up is that, you know, high performers in business have really trained their brain to associate stress with opportunity, and that happens through a practice of gratitude. And at one point in my past, I used to just kind of think it was, oh, it's just, you know, it, yeah, it's nice, but I didn't understand the science and what's actually happening in our brains when we choose to, you know, come into things with an attitude of gratitude. Um, it's it's interesting how we can actually rewire, you know, our brain and change the way that we think just from gratitude. And that has been important for me this last month or 2 months. A lot's been happening personally, and I think that one of the ways that I've been able to be a little bit more resilient than I have in the past was coming into a position of gratitude, and that I think has helped me to kind of bounce back from some things that have happened personally.
Yeah,
Well said,
I love that.
gentlemen.
I love that.
I just want to add in two more things here for myself, maybe some practical applications that we're going to get into, but you know, winning the morning, getting in your body, exercise. One thing that we do in the community is called breath work, which I'll share some links and you can join Giving Business Souls breath work. But those are actual practical strategies that help me manage my emotions, working out in the morning, setting my day up. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to respond and show up as well as I do. And ultimately, guys, if you want to help others make an impact, grow a team, you got to learn these tools very quickly. Charles taught me a lot. Jonathan Budd continues to teach me a lot. And one of the biggest things is responding versus reacting. To be more grounded and show up as that elevated leader. So just wanted to add that.
Just to add on top of that, John, you mentioned the morning routine. For me, the first thing I do every day is meditation. And that ties hugely into mindset because I'm creating space for what my day will allow, right? And just resetting and recharging and coming into the day with the proper mental space to take on all the challenges that we have. And then, Tom had mentioned gratitude. That's how I end my meditation, with a gratitude practice. And then the mindset part of it is really kind of viewing life through the lens of life happens for you or through you and not to you. So there's a difference between a creator consciousness and a victim consciousness. If we live constantly in a victim consciousness, life happens to us. We blame this, that, oh, the stupid project manager, the stupid installer, the stupid guy in front of me who cut me off in traffic. That's all victim consciousness. Versus creator consciousness is I'm creating my reality with every thought, every word, every action. So that's where I set every morning, is through my morning meditation and my gratitude and my affirmations, and then go into try and hold that space and that vibration of life is happening for me throughout the day. And obviously none of us are perfect. We get overwhelmed, there's challenges, life is particularly hard for a lot of people these days. But if we can keep that frame of life is happening for us and not to us, just kind of remember that in the time when you're being challenged, and that kind of reframes it.
Just to add something quick to that, that's really well explained, Rick. And also, I think it is a victim consciousness thing. And I also feel like that framework of life happens for us, not to us, it's actually a function of just becoming aware of how the construct, meaning reality, works. God wants the greatest thing for you. And the only way to deliver you to your greatness is to challenge you. Challenges are a celebration of the way. The stress that's needed is the precursor for evolution. If you have no stress, the species does not evolve. And so when you understand that that is the mechanism, it's like you begin to, what Tom mentions is you start to be grateful for it. It's like, shit, this is challenging, but it's like, okay, I'm being asked to go to another level. What quality am I being asked to cultivate to level up? And when you start to understand that, this is like a video game, my friends, and it's like constantly challenging you. And when you understand that the universe is benevolent, it's working in your favor, but we as humans just did not really understand how the construct work. Once you understand the game, then it's game on, right? It's like celebrate when you're being challenged, celebrate when you're being stressed out, and just kind of sit with that thing and go, okay, what am I being asked to do here? Once you get the game, again, game on.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was some Zen master nuggets right there, Frank. My goodness, guys. Hope you're plugging into that. That was
I got a
master.
question for Frank before we move on. How, if at all, does HRV play into when something happens, how quickly you kind of rebound or reset? Because HRV ties into stress resilience. Do you want to take a few minutes and just talk about HRV, and if that relates at all to, because Rick and I have talked about that resilience of when something happens, different people kind of take a while to reset and come back to a healthy mindset.
Yeah, kind of like a harmonious mindset. Yeah. I mean, I feel like HRV is crucial to start to follow. And, through the Oura ring, that's something that you can begin to sort of track and measure. And I feel like, the better that you take care of the body, I think when you begin to understand that the body is a chemical factory and it's constantly producing the chemicals necessary for you to just be in your feel good and in your flow state, that when you're confronted with something like that, the body rebounds much more quickly if your gut is strong. I think that's like the number one thing is your gut. And again, maybe a little TMI, but this is a mature room. It's like your stools, how are they flowing? How are they looking? Because that literally tells you how your body is actually handling stuff. If your body is stressed out, your gut and your stool will be in a very specific way. If you have too much inflammation, that'll also be reflected. And so when you start to take care of the gut, I think the next thing is the sleep. You become resilient, a resilient human being once you get those two aspects right. You know, it's like literally your body. We've seen human potential at the greatest level, whether you're looking at athletes, entrepreneurs, the stuff that humans can pull off is quite miraculous. You know, but once you get that gut right, which is a function of having restraint, right? We know that the stuff that we're ingesting is not good for us. The moment you start to develop restraint and say, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that today," you know, and the more restraint you have, the better your gut will become. And also when it comes to your sleep, if you're able to guard your sleep and you're just really adamant about those 8 hours, and that way you're getting proper deep sleep, you're getting proper REM, you know, your body produces the testosterone necessary. Deep sleep is where men and when women produce the testosterone. And the only way to get your deep sleep into that 2 hour range, which is optimal to 3 hours, we have to learn how to relax. And relaxing is a function of like what Rick spoke about. It's meditation, it's breath work. You cannot function at the highest level without that piece. Once you learn about breath work and meditation and doing that really well in the morning, but more importantly, throughout your entire day is a ceremony, you know, and it's like every interaction is a ceremonial, you know, interaction. And you have to remember to always breathe through your nose. And not only breathing through your nose, but you have to activate your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is activated by mewing, putting your tongue at the very top of the roof of your mouth and sucking that thing so it's plastered to the top. When it's plastered to the top, that top of the roof activates the vagus nerve, which activates your rest and recovery. And so if you want, I know it sounds very like trite, but if you breathe through your nose and you're constantly putting your tongue at the very top of your mouth, you're going to see that you handle stress like just like a knife through butter. You're going to be able to flow through it so much better. So and yeah, and if you're having issues with that HRV where it's too low, I would say you know, focus on the gut, focus on the sleep, and focus on the breathing and the mewing
and the stress.
Yeah.
Half the people in here are like, what the heck are they talking about? And
Yeah.
the other half are like, this is awesome. I couldn't be more excited about this conversation. Hey, I think one thing might be appropriate to bring up real quick, Frank, and I know this could be trainings on trainings in itself, but I think it applies to this slide a bit. Something you teach on quite a bit and you incorporate here is what we call gene keys. And you need to have your name, date of birth, birth city, and time of birth. And it incorporates many modalities, Eastern, stars, planets, the year, I mean, horoscope, like it's a lot of things. And guys, I can't tell you how many times this report has spoken to people, their strengths, their shadows, and getting to know yourself a little bit better on the journey. But I just wanted to share that link. And Frank, if you had something, how this ties into getting to know our shadows and how we show up or what our opportunities are, maybe you want to elaborate.
Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah. So the gene keys, my friends, is when I've read, you know, a lot. And when I first found the gene keys, I literally didn't read anything else for 5 years. I mean, this body of work is a complete synthesis and a stream of wisdom like I've never ran into. And it's essentially a genetic code. It's a language of light. And we all have our genes, and they essentially are activated through epigenetics, right? And so what is epigenetics? It's a science that says that our genetics don't come prepackaged. They're actually based on the environment. And so the environment that is, which means the vibration that moves through the genes is actually what's going to determine the expression. And the greatest environment we have is our inner environment. And so this is a system that helps you understand your shadows. All of us have shadows. That just means unconscious patterns that get developed in childhood as protective mechanisms that run rampant, unaware of your psyche. And we all have them. And if you don't understand what your shadow is, you're unconsciously constantly sabotaging yourself. because the protective mechanisms that got laid in when you were a child are no longer serving, and they're running you. They're literally running you. People think they're making decisions from conscientious you. It's not. Most of it is being done through the unconscious patterns that literally go on autopilot. And if you don't have a system like the gene keys to recognize where your shadows are and how you can activate them into the greatest potential, you're just missing like the cornerstone of what it means to be human. We all have light and dark, but the power is in the shadow, because once you integrate the shadow, you become more light. You become more vibrant, more aware, much more conscious. And again, everything is a function of consciousness. The more conscious you are, the more business you can bring forward.
All right, guys, let's move on to a few more slides here. Win your morning, win your sales. What are some of the most powerful morning habits that set up top sales professionals apart from the competition? If you guys have some, by the way, type in the chat. We'd love to see what you do in the morning specific. So any specific morning habits that have the biggest impact to stay energized and perform at a high level: light exposure, movement, breath work, red light, maybe hydration. What's the single most important thing you do in the morning that consistently sets the tone for a productive sales day? Tom, I'll start with you. I know you could talk for an hour on this, but what would be two things you do in the morning over the last few years that really have set up the most success?
It's show and tell time. I got my own personal sun right here. So I stand in front of this thing for 4 or 5 minutes and kind of do just a little meditating, breath work. That's if I'm getting up early in the morning and I can't get sun outside, so I've got the fake sun. But I think that has been important. I struggled for a while to go to bed around the same time and get up around the same time, and I think that sunlight exposure, or that's a 10,000 lux light that I stand in front of when I can't get outside. I think that having that light exposure around the same time in the morning has really helped to set me up, cortisol levels and everything else in my body, to go to bed and get up around the same time, and to get up without an alarm clock now too. I just wake up on time.
Love it. Let's do Rick. I know you have a few big things in the morning.
I was hoping I could go first, because if Frank went, he would take everything.
I know. I'm saving him for last. Trust me.
I felt the sequence. That's solid.
Right now,
Yeah.
honestly, I think when we all share, there's going to be so many commonalities as to what we all do. We may do them in different orders, but there's a checklist that most of us do, and I just kind of wrote some of them down, and I'll read them out. And sometimes they're in different orders, but this is for the most part the order. I had mentioned the meditation. That's the first thing. Then I do my morning walk. So I live in a neighborhood where there's a school and a track, and I do my first thing when my feet hit the ground. I get out of bed, put on my jacket or whatever, and go outside and walk. And there's science behind forward movement first thing in the morning helps set the circadian rhythm for the day, as well as the morning sun. So you're combining early morning sun with forward movement. That's setting your entire circadian rhythm through the day and setting yourself up for a good night of sleep later that night. If you can get up and see the first sun over the horizon, that's the most powerful time, because you can look directly into it, and you're getting that sunlight into your eyes and in your skin, and you're absorbing it, and that's setting your energy for the entire day. And there's also a something that I use. It's called Satori bars, which has paraxanthine, which is the chemical compound in coffee. It's what coffee breaks down to, but it doesn't give you the jitters. And it also has what's called methylene blue. It's called a Satori bar. So I've been on these for about a year, and they're fantastic. And why I mention it with the sunlight is the methylene blue interacts with the early morning sun, and it energizes you at a cellular level. So I don't want to get too sciencey here and step on Frank's toes, because he could probably explain this better than I. but that's part of my routine as well. Then I try to do the breath work every day, not religious about every day, but most days. And then my ice bath. Of course, I think pretty much everybody on this panel does the morning ice bath, which is hugely powerful. Obviously, it's quite the rage today. You can find it pretty much anywhere. I just have a simple $60 blow up ice bath that I got on Amazon. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. And then I do stretching and mobility as well. So as we get older, some of us, stretching and mobility comes hugely into play. So that's a big part of my morning routine as well. And then I do something called heart coherence meditation, which we can kind of get into in a little bit, which is kind of just really focusing on the heart and bringing gratitude and love from the heart chakra and setting that out. So that's in no particular order. That's sort of my morning routine, and I think, like I said, a lot of us have similar, similar practices.
Love it. I'll just add before Frank puts the bow tie on it that I do red light stretching and try to do breath work most mornings. I like platinum LED red lights. That's the one Jonathan Budd turned me on to, and Frank uses Joov, Joov. And then I charge my phone on my office desk, guys. So that's a big part of it. Do not allow it into the room. If I ever have to have it in the room, it's airplane mode. You don't want that thing 4 feet from your brain without airplane mode. Get it out of the room. Don't reach for it on social media. You know what you're doing. You know how it makes you feel. You know that you don't like it. So right here on this desk, this cord right here is where it plugs in. And there's no technology allowed there. So that helps my morning. And of course, getting to the gym is like brushing my teeth, like Arnold Schwarzenegger says, right? So those are a few things that I do besides hydrating. And boy, do I love caffeine. If I can make it wait 30 to 60 to 90 minutes after waking, I'm pretty proud of myself. So, Frank, what's the
Well, I mean,
morning look like?
yeah, you guys covered all of it, but I do like the idea of stacking everybody. And I feel like, light, earth, and oxygen are, sort of the primordial things that we need, right? So if you just do your breath work, which is oxygen, on the earth, or get a PEMF mat that's a little expensive, but you do your oxygen through breath work, you get on the earth, you get the grounding, the electrons, and you get the light. And, that essentially takes about 15, 20 minutes, and you knock out all three. And then from there, I love to do a practice called functional patterns. I would invite everyone to Instagram functional patterns. I do feel like this is the edges of consciousness. It's the edges of what is happening as far as our understanding of the human body. And functional patterns has been a lifesaver for me. I was actually on a home build this weekend, and someone was asking me about how long I've been working out, and I was like 35 years. And when I got first turned on to it when I was 13, I'm now 48. I stayed on that track. My father, entrepreneurs, said, look, you got to work out in the morning. And that's what I just continue to do. But I had a bunch of kinks. I had a bunch of issues with my shoulders and elbows because muscle building isn't really that fantastic for the body. And so what functional patterns is, it's a first principle system, and everything goes down to the core four, which is your posture, walking, throwing, and sprinting. And I'll just leave it here on the posture side of things. Most of us have misalignments in our posture. And so if you start to work out when you have a misalignment, it essentially, you're going to compound an issue that you're going to have problems with downstream later on. And so I had misalignments, and I just kept working out, and I started creating a lot of tense areas in my body. And once I learned about functional patterns and repairing my posture, it was like my entire physiology changed. Like when you look at me, my shoulders sit very high now, my back is flat. And if you think about that, just think about this. I mean, would you build a home on a faulty or uneven foundation? We wouldn't. So why would we stack muscle on a posture that's jacked up? It doesn't make any sense. And so when I started understanding that, I was like, oh my God, was I asleep? That makes all the sense in the world. And I started fixing my posture. And then after that, started looking at the way that I walk, the way that I run, the way that I throw. And I'll leave it with this. There's a Roger Sperry quote. He's a Nobel laureate winner. Okay. He says that 90% of the usage of the brain is used to move the human body through time and space. So the more mechanically distorted you are, the more your brain has to be used to just move you properly. So the better you can improve your posture and the way that you walk, it's like then the brain can go into regeneration, intelligence, and metabolism. And so when I started to understand all these things, I was like, oh my God. And I used to run like this, like just super tight, like most bodybuilders, weightlifters. And now I run like the Bionic Man. It's like everything is engaged, and it's incredible. So I would say look into functional patterns.
Yeah, I think that takes us to this slide that you covered extremely well, Frank. The functional patterns, I dropped the Instagram in the chat. Also, a friend of Frank's, Mark, with My Biomechanics, that Chris put in the chat as well, has some amazing classes. And in Joshua Tree, we were just going through an exercise or two that talks about posture and how you hold your body and how you enter a room and your tonality and how that energy translates to your clients, guys, to your relationships, to business interactions when you meet someone. And if you're not aware of this, then it'll rule you. So yeah, functional patterns for me, I have a trainer in Las Vegas named Alex, Motion LV. I know Frank has some trainers as well. And Chris, like I said, put that gentleman Mark in the chat that does a virtual functional patterns training there. So on the moving with power, sell with confidence, I'm going to go ahead and go to, let's do sleep next before we get to fuel like a pro. So I know we've touched a few things on sleep already. And for some reason, my sleep score is not showing up here because I had an epic sleep score last night. But all right, sleeping, guys. If you have some sleep tricks, put it in the chat. How does sleep or lack of it affect your decision making, reacting versus responding, energy, sales performance? How does it affect winning the morning? What are some of the mistakes that reduce this clarity? And what are the habits or tools that you've used to show up sharper for business and relationships, right? And how can someone structure their evenings to ensure high quality sleep? Yes, Frank turned me on to the CBD drops under the tongue. Who would like to, we all have many things on this, but who would like to take it first? Magnesium.
I'll add something really quick here too. Just when you understand the human biology, when light hits the eyeballs, it starts a chemical production process. And so what I would recommend for everyone is to keep that in mind. And I would not turn on especially LED lights. I'm so thankful that they have now, brought back the incandescent light and the normal stuff. If you have those lights on at night after dark, you're going to ruin the sleep, So what I would recommend are like salt lamps, or put a light out in another room that kind of lights up the thing. When it's kind of like when you go camping, the reason that we sleep so well during camps is because once the sun goes down, naturally the body begins to wind down. And since we have been unaware of the capability of the body, we've been having lights on every time, and it just ruins sleep. It ruins it. And so I would really recommend that. And then, of course, I put in there magnesium. We're really deficient in magnesium. Getting the proper magnesium is going to, again, improve your quality of sleep. And then the CBD, and I'm a measure guy, measure everything. Those CBD drops literally will move your REM and your deep sleep up 15%, up to 20%. It's one of those things that really moves the needle because we have a cannabinoid system in the human body. And so the non-psychoactive of that cannabis plant just does something miraculous inside the DNA and allows you to just gain some deeper sleep. So I think light is the big culprit for most people. The light on the screen of your phone. You should put on the red light at night on your phone. You know, if you're going to use computer, put on red, you know, the blue light blockers. And I think if you do those things, quality of sleep will go way up.
I'll add a couple things. Yeah, that was pretty comprehensive, Frank. One of the other things is timing of our eating of our dinner. So those of us that have the Oura ring, we know that if we eat too close to bedtime, our scores are going to suck. So as a practice, I tried not to eat anything. Well, I may have a snack later, like, you know, almonds or something like that. But typically, the last big meal should happen before 6 o'clock. It gives your body enough time to digest so that it's not straining as it's sleeping to digest the food. The second thing is, if you guys want a good supplement for sleep, I recommend Qualia Night, Qualia, Qualia Night, which has a lot of the magnesium and saffron and a lot of the natural ingredients that don't necessarily help you fall asleep, but help you get the right quality of sleep. As Frank had pointed out, it's more about the quality. Timing is key too, but deep sleep and REM sleep are the regenerative parts of our sleep. So if we can correct for and optimize for those, that's really what we're looking for, and that's what the Oura ring tracks. So pretty much everybody on this call, we all expect you to have Oura rings by the end of the week. Order them now. That tracking the sleep quality is step one, right? If you could track it, you can improve it.
Thank you, Rick. I'm putting some links in the chat just so you guys know the Qualia Nights, the different salt lamps. I have a few salt lamps in my house, even a bath magnesium salt flakes that I use. And then as well as the CBD, Frank's company he turned me on to is called Element Health. And I know my brother has always been a big fan of Santa Cruz Medicinals as well. We all like that owner and gentleman. So those are some links for you guys to share. And then John Wilson put in his Oura link $50 off link as well if you want to use that.
And there's people that make fun of those of us that track our sleep through Oura or Whoop, but for me, it's about having the information to know what works and what doesn't work. You know, I can wake up in the morning and know how I feel, but also having that data and being able to track it and know that when I don't eat right before bed, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 hours before bed, the further back I go, the lower my resting heart rate is before I go to sleep. And that's really the biggest thing that I know that if my resting heart rate is low enough, that I'm going to get a good night's sleep unless, a kid wakes me up or, something else. But grounded sheets, I have been traveling a lot the last couple of years. And so I started to sleep with earplugs in, soft earplugs, because I have a daughter that gets back late at night and she makes dinner and I'm already asleep and she was waking me up. So earplugs, an eye mask that just to control light. That's helpful also in some hotel rooms where you can't control the light. When I'm at home, I have a grounded sheet. Stopping work at 8 o'clock at night and having 8 to 9 o'clock be like, time with the kids or the family. And then to start a wind down routine around 9 or 9:30 so that I'm, asleep around 10. Having just the, so that I don't have to think about what I'm going to do. So I'm not trying to figure out, am I going to eat tonight? Because if I try and figure out, oh, am I going to eat something at 8:30? It's probably yes, and it's probably not something that I should be eating, even if it is late at night. So having those systems in place to know what I'm going to do ahead of time and just get used to doing them. I fall asleep a lot faster and I just feel a lot better in the morning. And it's not about going to bed early. It's about going to bed at a time where you just get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. and you're consistent within 30 minutes of going to bed and waking up, every day.
All right, guys, a lot of good links in the chat is flowing here from Brian Johnson's protocol. A lot of the things that we have used or implement are from some of his protocol. If you haven't heard of him, he's the mega millionaire tech mogul that's trying to live forever and don't die. And he has a Netflix, and he open sources a lot of his things. So that's in the chat. People are mentioning eye masks, melatonin here and there. And then some of us in the community also use this blood testing that tests over like 115 markers. And you have to go get blood 2 days, and they track it online, and it's just the most robust, with Dr. Mark Hyman. If you've heard of him, look him up on Instagram. And he runs this company called Function Health. So if you Google it or look at that link in the chat there, for a discount, you can get every single marker in your body possibly imaginable tested. So sleep is really important. I know we have just a minute or two left. So as we round out this conversation, this one could be at length and nauseum, but we'll clean it up here and make it quick. So fueling up like a pro, what you eat and when you eat, like we mentioned, eating windows for sleep impacts your energy, focus, and ability to work. When what eating habits help you stay sharp, avoid crashes, perform consistently, meal timing, and what foods or beverages would you want to avoid? So guys, go ahead, and if you have a few tricks up your sleeve, many of you performers on the call here, I know you have a few tips and tricks and what works for you, whether it's fermented food or no alcohol, limiting alcohol, less processed carbs. There's so many habits when it comes to food here. I'm just going to go ahead and go to a friendly reminder here, solarmasterguide.com. There's a tab called Health, and Chris and I have a lot of links in here. And I just wrote down a few basic things here, and then I'll let these gentlemen go. But water is an important part of this, fueling up, staying hydrated, a little bit of element salt or relight, or there's a few salts that we use, the Celtic sea salt or the Baja Gold. And drinking quality water out of glass bottles. Frank will yell at you if you use a hot coffee in a plastic lined cardboard cup, guys. Stop doing that. Bring your own mug with you. Bring your own cup with you. No plastic lining. Limit alcohol. Eating, obviously, real foods, not processed. Limiting processed carbs and a possible eating window. And I think it's a positive thing that we're noticing the Make America Healthy, because I think one of the first states has already signed an order yesterday, Frank, that they're outlawing red dye and this crap that's not even allowed in Europe. So we're on the right path and on the right awakening. And those are a few notes that I have. Feel free to interject some fueling up tips like a pro.
Yeah, don't eat plastic. That's rule number one. Don't eat plastic. And you have to understand it's in everything from plastic water bottles to, the forever chemicals in your Teflon, cooking ware and all those different you really have to approach your health and fueling like a pro, like you're being poisoned and you're in a maze trying to avoid all the poisons. You got to read labels. But yeah, I think most of you covered it too. And it's always, I think this is a process of addition through subtraction. So if you just eliminate the plastics, if you eliminate the poisonous seed oils, if you minimize the glyphosate grains, because in this country they just blast them with one of the most harmful products for our health is glyphosate. So if you just eliminate those things and, start adding high quality water, high quality, proteins, wild caught seafood, a good amount of fruit and all the other things, it's like just eating whole food. that's all the body needs. And with everything else that we talked about with movement, breath, light, earth, all those different things, just go back to being like a natural human. We're superhuman at the base. I think we've just been set up in a situation that's taken away our superpowers. But once you do these things, you'll get that superpower back. You'll elevate in consciousness, and you'll just start activating flow states much easier.
That's good stuff. I'll just add in one of the things that's been helpful for me is because that can get overwhelming because there's so many different things to eat out there. So simplifying it has been helpful. And I kind of took this idea from Timothy Ferriss in his 4-Hour Body book a while back. But just to find 1 or 2 or 3, you can add on from there. But just find, one good meal that is really healthy for you and that you feel good after you eat it. That's really the measure. You feel good, and then start eating that, and then you can add on other things as well. I eat the same thing for breakfast every single morning, and it's Brian Johnson's Blueprint Nutty Pudding Mix with olive oil and blueberries, some nuts in there too, and protein. But I eat it every single day just because I don't have to think about it, right? I don't have to figure out what I'm going to eat. I already know what I'm going to eat for at least that meal, and it's like 420 calories and 30 something grams of protein probably. So ashwagandha is good too. Anthony posted that in there. I take I think it's 600 milligrams of ashwagandha every morning. Sorry, what pudding? It's on Brian Johnson's website. You can look at the link. I'll post it in here. But this is the mix right here.
Yeah, I'd like to just close off with hitting on what Frank had mentioned, addition by subtraction. So for me personally, I've gone off of alcohol, caffeine, and processed foods for the better part of a year and a half at this point. I thought caffeine in terms of coffee was going to be really hard to give up. What I use is it's called mud water. Some of you guys may have heard of it. And then I put additional cacao powder in it. So that fuels me in the morning along with the aforementioned paraxanthine and the Satori bars. So I'm not getting the crash. We all love our coffee. I did too until I didn't. And once I realized that there was that spike and then crash, it wasn't serving me. I was the guy doing 2 cups in the morning, crashing around lunch, having, going to Starbucks, getting another one, crashing, horrible sleep. Once I eliminated caffeine and went to mud water and other elements, I have a more sustained level of energy throughout the day. I don't have spikes and crashes. So just by eliminating, big doses of caffeine, eliminating alcohol, as Frank mentioned, processed foods or anything like that, that served me really well. So I'd love to add that.
Yeah, and I think taking one of the best things I ever did in my life, thanks to Frank, is a 90-day, no alcohol, no grains, no self-numbing habits, behaviors, and exercise, breath work, cold showers for 90 days. You change your relationship with these things, right? That's the main goal here. So I would just say tinker with what works, try it out, cycle on and off of it, guys. If you haven't given up caffeine in 10 years, take a weekend off. You know what I mean? Just see. All right. Well, I'd like to come to a place where we can close this up in a minute. Maybe a few questions in the chat. I know some of us have to hop off already, but just as a reminder, I did put in the chat. Chris and I will try to freshen this up and grab some of these links and more information. It's just a few items right now, but the solarmasterguide.com, we have a health tab. And by the way, it's a lot of what we give to our team for steps to success. If you're new here, trainings, tools, and a ton of other things if you haven't seen it, but we need to freshen up. On the last tab is health. So if you missed some of the links here today, some of the discounts or some of the testing that we do, the functional health, Dr. Mark Hyman, magnesium, CBD, functional patterns, gene keys, water, it's all there, and we'll continue to grow this as well. And then I just want to say a big thank you to the panelists, Tom and Rick, guys. If you got some nuggets today, some great reminders, drop it in the chat. And especially shout out to Francisco Jara. You always drop a ton of knowledge and nuggets and love. And man, you were on fire today, Frank. So if someone wants to get in touch with you or maybe see an entry-level course or attend the a Breathworks Flow Mondays on Powur calendar, of course, but any call to action or anything they can learn about what you do a little bit more?
Yeah, I'd say give me a follow on Instagram, francisco.hara.33. Send me a message if you're looking at, becoming, the best self you. I mentor, I coach, I have an entire community. This is the philosophy that is about embodiment. And it's really, again, sort of improving your inner world through the work of consciousness, as well as getting your vessel and your temple optimized. When you bring those two things together, if you're on a mission to do the impossible, to do like great work, to leave your dent in the universe, like this is the blueprint, I feel. So if you're one of those people, reach out to me and let's have a conversation.
Beautiful.
Thank you, brother.
Well, thank you, Francisco. Big shout out to Tom and Rick, leading a lot of these efforts as well. Philanthropy, flow, body, mind, showing up as strong leaders for everybody here. Massive credit to those two. And of course, my twin brother in Costa Rica, who's up leveling right now. He's a tad under the weather, sharing a lot of his knowledge and nuggets and links in the chat as well. So with that said, guys, we're going to go ahead and stop this recording. Maybe hang out for just a minute, but if you need to jump off, have an amazing week. We'll see you Friday, Building with Bobby. Let's go out there and crush it. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, everybody. Great to be with you.